I would like to relate a story to you of teaching my Chinese students how to play English language word games. At the end of the year this year, I brought in 4 word games for something fun to do for my students, as well as something that could help them build their English vocabularies. I brought in 4 games: Scrabble, Upwards, Catchphrase, and Boggle. And I noticed from the very beginning that students had a variety of experiences that gave them different advantages or disadvantages in learning these games. Some students had played similar games before, so it was easier for them to pick up on the rules, and some students had actually played these exact games before, which obviously gave them an advantage over others. Still, other students didn't like games and didn't really play games much at all, so it was really difficult for them to get them in the mood of playing these games and to play with others. I used the cognitive apprenticeship approach at the beginning to teach the students how to play the games, and then later on, social constructivism was also a predominant learning model. For the cognitive apprenticeship approach, I first had to teach them the rules of the games. Then, I showed them how to play, and I played along with them as a model. All along, I gave them strategy tips, either while I was playing with them or after I was done playing. I just watched them. For instance, in Scrabble, I gave them the strategy tip of using the double and triple word and letter score spaces, and particularly using high point letters on those spaces. In Upwards, I taught them how to play pieces on the corners, where you can change 2 words instead of 1 to get more points. Or also, you can play multiple pieces to create radically different words, instead of just going for rhymes with a 1 letter change. In Catchphrase, I taught them how to break up clues into individual words and give word association or opposite clues to help their teammates guess. As we went along, I noticed that the social constructivist learning model actually had as many or even more benefits than the cognitive apprenticeship approach. Some classes had new players, as well as those who had already played, so I let the experienced players describe the rules and strategies to the new players, which proved most effective, as they could describe the games more quickly to the new players than I could. Students enjoyed watching other students play and learning from them the best practices. They enjoyed having students explain the rules in Chinese and even compare the games to similar Chinese games for better understanding. Also, students learned shortcuts and cheats that I didn't teach them by experimenting. For instance, I offered some advice on using a dictionary to check on the validity of certain words. But then the students expanded on this idea by grabbing their smartphones and using dictionary apps to find perspective words, which radically changed the games. They enjoyed discussing with one another, watching others play, and even playing in teams for these games. I could see through the social constructivism that students were using multiple areas of their brains to play these games, which made me really happy. For instance, in Catchphrase, I learned that they really did better when they could relate experiences to their classmates. Oftentimes, they would only look to one of their teammates, one of their best friends, in order to relate certain experiences they had with one another, so they could guess the clues more quickly. Another interesting aspect is that most students didn't want to play Boggle. They thought it was too quiet, too boring, and much too individualistic. There was no chance for them to interact with each other, and that's really what they enjoyed through these games. All in all, this was a great experience. The students had a lot of fun, they were able to practice and build their English vocabularies, and I plan on doing this again next year.